Hi, y'all. I'm Ariel Jade.
And I'm Renee.
And we are Shootin' the Shit. We're coming at you live out of RCA Victor Studio,
where we revolve around the song.
And that is exactly what we're doing here. We're going to bring y'all some behind the scenes and exclusive interviews with the hitmakers here in Nashville. Songwriters, singers, musicians, producers. So, let's dive right in.
Let's go.
All right, so they got to get to know us, right? If they're going to hang out with us, they need to know what we're about.
Chicks?
Yeah, who are we?
Why should we watch?
But, y'all, we are so ADHD. We'll talk about some mental health and stuff later. Y'all get to know this very well. But, just to start off the gate, one of our little things will be to set a timer because we have to. All right,
no
10 minutes.
No concept of time. When did you know that you had the gift of music?
Oh, we also did not rehearse these questions at all, so this will be fun. I always remember being in love with music. 2 years old. I grew up in Mississippi, but I had grandparents up in Little Switzerland, North Carolina, big bluegrass circuits, and go up there. They took me to some bluegrass barn, and I remember they went around doing a train to the bluegrass music, and at 2, I hopped up and I hooked my fingers onto these guys' belt buckles, and I got on the train, and the train went up onto the dance floor that was right next to the stage. I didn't differentiate that as a 2-year-old. I walked right onto the stage, stood in front of the guitar player, and just stared in awe. And I stayed there for, I think they were playing Rocky Top.
When did you start playing instruments?
8. But I begged from that time at 2 until I was 6. I begged.
When did you start singing?
I sang before I could talk, according to my mom.
Me too.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
It's in our bones.
Exactly.
It's in our blood. It's in our soul.
Exactly. So how old were you when you wrote your first song?
Before I started playing guitar.
Do you remember it?
It's called My Love Life, and it was about 8 pages long.
Can you just sing a line or two?
Oh my God. It's hilarious.
The
I was 7. Oh yeah, you ready?
I want to hear your 7-year-old self.
My love life, my love life. That's just how it goes.
She had such a vibe.
At 7 years old, you know that love life.
She had a love life. We were in love with life at 7.
I think so.
Before we knew. No, I'm just kidding. No, I still love life.
I do too.
I love life.
I find that every
people, day. Even though a lot of people wonder if I love them. But anyway, back to you. So you wrote your first song at 7. When did you play your first professional? Like, when did they pass a hat? When did you get your first dollar for singing
9.
and playing? Well,
I started playing at 8. I finally got the guitar at 8. Fun story, real quick.
So what kind of guitar?
China $69 guitar from Walmart.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a story behind this. So from 2 to 6, I begged. My parents were like, "You were ADHD. You're loud as fuck. You don't need something else to help you make noise." So at 6, they were like, "Don't say anything else about it. And on your 8th birthday, if you can zip it for 2 years, you say nothing. We'll get you one on your 8th birthday." I said, threw away the key, locked it up, didn't say anything. Obsessed over it silently. I was still hyperfixated because it wasn't a hyperfixation. It's a passion of mine, right? So I woke up on my 8th birthday, walk out. My parents were great parents, always very supportive. Don't get me wrong. They had gifts, but they were not big enough to be a guitar. They were not big enough. I didn't even open the gifts. I said, "That's not a guitar." And my parents looked at each other. They were like, "Oh my gosh, you remembered." Like, what? And they're like, "Okay, well, we'll take you soon." I'm like, "No, now. It's my birthday. You said if I was quiet for 2 years, and I was quiet for 2 years. Like, you're taking me today." And
they
did.
I don't believe you.
They took me to Walmart and got me a little $69 Chinaman guitar. And I got like a chord ebook and, taught myself some basic chords. Had to wait months to finally get in with an instructor named Tim Avalon. Taught me almost everything I know and cultured me in music as well. Tim Avalon did a lot for me. Love him to death. Had to wait a few months to get in with him though, because he's so good. Everybody want him, yeah. And
it's a good place to start.
And I walked in. I knew my G chord, my C, my D, my A, my E. Real basics shit. And he said,
a lot of the 4 frets.
Yeah. No bar chords. No, nothing.
3 to 4 frets. Yeah.
3-finger chords. Real simple. Anyway, and he goes, strum your G chord for me then. And I strummed it, and he strummed his, and I strummed mine. And then I looked at him, I was like, strum yours again. And he strummed it. I looked at my dad, and I said, I need a better guitar. I knew it immediately. And now my dad had me working in, we have a family bolt and nut, I'm also dyslexic, business in Jackson, Mississippi.
A what kind of business?
Bolt and nut business. So they sell hardware parts to like the railroad and car companies. Anyway, my dad made me, he said, if you want, because he said, you're going to work for it if you want it. And that's how I had work ethic instilled in me at a young age. I would count out or weigh out 100 bolts, build a box, build a label, tape it up, put the label on it, mark it as inventory, and I'd get a nickel per box.
Wow.
I saved up $400 in nickels.
When did you start getting money for singing again?
At 9.
9. What was the second instrument?
Mandolin.
Third?
Tenor banjo.
And what else?
I dabble on ukulele and am teaching myself bass.
Strings.
That's it. That's it right there for me. Anything strings, like I'll try to attempt, but I play guitar. I've been playing guitar since I was 8. I'm 30, so over 20 years I've been playing. Mandolin I picked up around age 12. Tenor banjo I picked up around like 18, 19, but really didn't start playing it until, I don't know, a couple years ago.
What would your 30-year-old self say to your 16-year-old self?
Keep going. Keep going.
Let's go.
Just keep going.
Yeah. What would you say to your 20-year-old self?
Don't marry the douchebag.
That's what I was getting at. We want y'all to know the truth, you know.
I was in music early on. I started performing professionally at age 9. I did a Johnny and June style duet, old country, with a guy named William Michael Morgan. We traveled up and down the East Coast. Oh, we did. We got married in a fever. All of the good stuff, right?
Hotter than a pepper sprout.
So good. Anyway, and I did that for a few years, and then I went to college at 16. I skipped a couple of grades. I was bored. It sounds so pretentious, but I really just hated the high school me crap. I was like, just worry about yourself. Well, okay.
Me too. I was the same way.
I hated it. So I was like, how can I get out of here faster?
I know. Well, when you're a creative and ADHD, you can't stand the classroom setting.
It is.
And you're looking at the clock. And it's because you're so fast, your brain's moving so fast that you've already done the work.
The teachers would teach something, I'd get it the first time.
Me too.
And I'm like, why have we spent 3 more days on this? So I skipped grades.
Yeah.
Got to college at 16, met my ex, who was very controlling and didn't like people looking at me, even if it was on stage. Big red flags. I was already married at that point, though.
We didn't know then, though. We didn't know about the red flags.
No, we didn't. You have to learn.
Too young.
I learned the hard way.
Trial and error.
I learned the hard way is a new song that I'm releasing soon.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, ADHD. Look, we got so off topic.
She chased a squirrel.
And this
is
what happens.
No, I'll reel you back in. I'm doing the interviewing.
Okay, go for it then.
Okay. Were your parents, I know they got you the little China May guitar, but were they always your cheerleader and supportive?
Oh, yeah.
And did they come to all your events?
Oh, yeah. Sports, I was in sports, and then music, they were always there.
In your life so far?
I have been extremely blessed.
What has been your 15 seconds?
Oh.
Most amazing performance. Like.
Okay.
Biggest event you've done or thing you're most proud of?
So I'm a Twitch partner, and I do a lot of events in the gaming and cosplay sphere, and I was recently interviewed.
She's so cute.
I was recently interviewed by BuzzFeed, so I've had some cool stuff in the past decade with, online media. But for music,
you've been very successful with the gaming.
Thank you. I've been able to do it full time for 5 years now. I was a teacher. I have a master's degree in education. Taught for 4 years. Was approached to do esports, and so I retired and back in May of 2019, and I have been a full time content creator, Twitch partner.
First time you came to Nashville.
So, but my biggest 15-second thing for music would have been, I have to say, when I got to do the Louisiana Hayride when I was like 14 years old. And
Sweet.
I got to stand on the X that Elvis stood on and performed. And when I tell you, I just had chills the entire time. Okay, you know what? That may not be 15 seconds of fame, but for me, that was
It doesn't
that was
matter,
it,
though.
just
I've
the
stood in that
essence.
circle on the Grand Ole Opry. That
Yeah,
circle.
it's when
It's-
you get to stand
Some
where
spots are sacred.
it's sacred spots, the energy.
I was hearing Stephen
So
Colbert talk about taking over David Letterman's studio.
Mm-hmm.
He cut out the little spot in the floor where David stood, framed it, and he held on to it for a year or two. And then he thought, what am I doing with this? This is not mine. And he sent it to David. It was so cool. But anyway, let's get back to you. So,
You got 3 seconds.
oh, hell. Here we
Yep.
go.
It's done.
ADHD.
It's done. And that's it. So now it's your turn.
Sweet.
It's my turn to ask you questions.
It's your turn to set the timer again.
I
It's
did.
It's always your turn.
It is. I am the timekeeper.
Lay it on me. The
Okay.
keeper of time.
So I'm gonna fast fire some questions at your name.
Okay.
All right. So you said earlier, we already know you're from Nashville. Where were you born here?
Baptist Hospital, just down the street.
Okay.
Here in Davidson County. I grew up, we started in East Nashville,
I love East.
and then within a year probably in Donaldson. It was
Okay.
a great town to grow up in, just
Donaldson's nice
by
too.
the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, when did you start singing?
Came out of the womb just like
That's what
you.
said.
I was singing before I could talk or walk.
And first song, when did you first write it?
I was in 5th grade.
Okay.
It was called Get Excited
Oh.
because Donaldson Elementary in my 5th grade year, we were moving and it was my last year there. And they had a theme that year called Get Excited about Donaldson Elementary School. So I wrote a little,
Cute.
and you want to hear it?
Yes, please.
5th grade, y'all.
Yes.
Get excited, clap your hands. Get excited, sing along. Take a look in the mirror someday and think, well, who am I? Then get up and tell somebody your name because you don't have to be so shy. Get excited about Donaldson Elementary School.
Oh, that's
And I did it
cute.
in the cafeteria, got to stand over. That was my first
Oh
standing
my
ovation.
goodness. Okay, when did you start performing professionally?
Passing the hat as a young teenager, but legitimately professional at 17.
And tell us what that was. What was that? What was that gig? What was
My
your first-
dad launched Billy Dean's career, and
Okay.
so he's from the home state of Florida, and we were a duo in his home state. But he came here after winning the Wrangler Star Search, and one of the first people he met was my dad. So my dad introduced him around Music Row, producers, songwriters.
So you're
and-
old blood Nashville.
So I
in the
toured it.
roots.
And I sang backup for him when he sang backup for me when I sang, and then we did a lot of duets.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And then now have you ever gone on tour?
Yes, that was my first tour.
That was okay.
Well,
you
with
went on
him,
tour
you
with
know.
him. That's awesome. What other
Traveling in cars kind of touring. Yeah.
But still, tour's a tour. What other tours have you done?
It's so funny, this music industry. It's just like a ladder, rungs of a ladder. There's so many levels and so many ways to have a career. And you start at the bottom and
Take
you
notes.
step up and you level up and you step up and you learn as you grow. Learn as you grow as an artist and as a songwriter and performer.
Producer, musician, if whoever out there is watching, this is to you too.
Yeah, and so one thing we'll be doing on this show is giving you tips about Nashville and how to make it in music. But
And how to get over those humps, because we all have them.
yeah.
Right.
But I started getting paid for a living at 17.
That is
and still today.
amazing.
Yeah,
That is
42 years.
amazing. Okay, I'm just going to bust you out because I adore her, and she's also a fellow Mississippi girl. But you got to tour with Faith Hill and Tim McGraw, right?
Best bosses I've ever had. Well, Faith was my boss. I toured with her on the This Kiss tour. It was her first headlining tour.
Oh,
She's-
that song was so good.
It just goes to show you what one song will do. One song.
All it takes is one.
She was Nashville's everybody was excited, new female vocalist, and so young and so just,
Bright.
yes, just beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. And she had This Kiss, it crossed her over pop and exploded.
Yeah.
So she went from being the new female country vocalist in Nashville to a global icon
Mhm.
overnight. Well, not overnight. It takes
But just
it's
about.
a 10-year town. 10-year town.
And if you move here, you'll hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's because you got to learn as you grow.
You got to pay your dues.
Pay your dues. Networking, so important.
Right.
Okay, so hold up. I got to go back. You mentioned your dad, and you were old blood Nashville. Like, you born and raised with Nashville music in your veins. Tell us a little bit about your dad.
My dad was a Kentucky thumb picker an hour and a half up the road, and he and his mother, she put a Sears and Roebuck Silvertone guitar in his hands when he was 13. All they didn't have any television. They had a radio, Grand Ole Opry, almost 100 years ago when that started. And so he would listen to Chet Atkins albums. We're here in Chet Atkins' office, and there's a whole lot of stories which you'll hear later on down the road.
There's a reason we chose this space.
There's a reason this is our space. Yeah, it's the magic room, and it is truly magical. But the first time I came here was when I was 10. So anyway, Chet and my dad were good friends.
I was about to say, why? Why were you here at 10?
Well, Chet recorded one of my dad's instrumentals. So my dad and his mother from 100 years ago pioneered Kentucky thumb style. And that's like Chet Atkins, Jerry Reed. And so they're in the
very influential.
The National Thumb Pickers Hall of Fame. I'm proud of that.
That's awesome.
My sweet daddy. He was my hero.
So,
but he toured for 30 years with Kitty Wells and Farron Young, and Donna Fargo launched her career. Mel Tillis when he was Entertainer of the Year. So just deep roots. And then my grandparents too. Yeah. Like his mother. And then on my mother's side.
I was about to say your mom's side also has
we're native Nashvillians that go back 100 years. So deep roots, native Nashville. And she was a singer and songwriter, and was best friends with Patsy Cline, who was always after her to start recording and touring. But my mom was raising 5 kids, and my dad was already touring on the road, supporting us. And he just didn't want her on a bus going one way and him going the other. And it's hard. But, Loretta Lynn did that. Patsy did it. Tammy did it. And they made it work, but it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. And Mom she didn't want to abandon us because her life was kind of, she wanted us to have stability. So I'm glad she made that choice. But I always
felt like passed you down a lot of talent.
I always felt like I had to do for her what she couldn't do for herself. And but I mean, I sang because I couldn't do anything else. It's just who I am.
I was about to say, this is you. I taught for a while and all of that, and it's like, it always came back down to music for me, like revolving around a song. My whole life revolves around a song.
When it's in you, there's a different blood that runs through our veins, creatives. There's a different blood that runs through us, and it's in every fiber of our being. And true success comes when you can be so uninhibited and just ooze what you are. Just let it out. No inhibition. Elvis, the Beatles, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Well, you chase what you want to create and not what box mainstream or society, whatever the fuck, wants you to fit in.
It took me a long time to
create
figure
art
that part out. It took me a long time because I focused on just being a singer in the beginning. And I was a songwriter, but I just wanted to be performing. And now it's shifted. I'm more behind the scenes and doing things like this, and discovering deeper artistry, but really focusing on a lot of songwriting.
Creating
which is how I met
conversation and everything, yeah.
I met you right here down the hall.
We met in this building.
Yep.
Because of
Sweet Wood Newton.
Friend of ours, yeah, Wood Newton.
Oh, the best.
We owe him a lot. Okay, so couple more questions. We only got a couple minutes, so I got to make them count. So, we don't like to brag on ourselves, but I need you to just real quick, no inhibition, tell us some of the coolest people that you've gotten to work with or you got to grow up around, learning from, anything like that. Just whoever was super impactful to you.
I would say Faith Hill, because I fell in love with her the first time I saw She's a Wild One, and I thought, who is that? And look out, Nashville.
Queen.
Just loved her so much. I never dreamed I'd be able to tour with her. At the time, I was touring with Patti Loveless. And then a position came open, and it was my dream artist, Faith was. And I think because I identify with her so closely, and our voices blended really well together, and I just heard something in her voice that I'd love to sing harmony with her. So that's my favorite boss ever in the music industry. And then Tim, right behind her when they toured together on the first Soul to Soul tour.
I bet that was so fun.
It was wonderful. They're just amazing. And I've always said, if they're not the real deal, the love, If that's not it, it does not exist.
Uh-huh.
But they were such an influence and such an inspiration to me, and I learned so very much. I'd give anything if I could be the person I am today and go back and do all the tours I've done again.
If only we could go back with the knowledge we have.
Yeah. Living
Well,
and learning.
Talking like your mom stayed at home with y'all, super talented. Faith stopped touring and stuff for a while.
And I respected that so much. So when we came off tour, she had her third child, Audrey. So she had Gracie and Maggie on the road with us when we were on the Soul to Soul tour. They were like 3 and 1.
Oh my God.
We used to bathe them in the bus sink. Her nanny, Donna, would bathe them in the bus sink on Faith's bus, and they were just precious. And so all 3 of them have followed their parents' footsteps. And, you know, Gracie's in New York.
I'm sure they've got...
And Maggie and Audrey. Yeah. So Audrey was just born, and that's the last time, probably towards the end of that tour.
It's time! Okay, and
I
see,
didn't answer the question.
It's okay, I have so many more for you.
But we'll weave so much through the
I was about to
next
say, guys, like, we had to limit it to 10 minutes this time because we want to get to some other good shit as well.
There's so much to both our stories, and you'll hear it throughout the episodes.
And
but we hope we've teased you enough that you'll want to tune in every now and then.
you got a little bit of a layout of who we are and where we come from. So
we met a year ago, and our energy was just, I'm like, she's the daughter I never
locked in.
It was like, she's mini me. It's crazy. I'm like, I wish I could have known at 30, because it's taken me, I'm 59, and it's taken me this long to get my head screwed on like hers. I was always an old soul, but I was insecure. And you were talking about being uninhibited, like we've been talking about, to be a successful artist.
Being genuine
I was
is
so
the most important thing.
So inhibited my whole life on many levels. So
that we can, growing up in the South can be rough.
So you have really been an inspiration to me.
And same.
As far as the authenticity that I've been after, I've always been real, always been honest, always been an open book. But authenticity to me is when your inside matches your outside.
And being genuine, I think,
you're not two different people, inner and outer.
It's a lot easier to live this way.
That's right.
But you have inspired me as well, and I'm so glad we're getting to do this show. All right, I got my timer, my trusty timer. We're going to bring y'all some hot shit topics each episode as well, like what's going on in the industry. So, Renee, I need you to tell us what's going on in the industry. What's some hot shit?
Well, there ain't no hotter shit right now today than Taylor Swift, my Tay-Tay.
Ever.
She was just in Munich.
Ever.
Did you see? She was just in Munich, and so 74,000 people in the stadium. But in Munich, there's this park outside of the stadium, and there were 50,000 more people who couldn't get a ticket, couldn't afford a ticket, or just didn't get one before it sold out because they sell out so quickly.
Probably waiting to see if they could scalp something.
But her reaction, I think about, we were talking about, we're both huge Beatles fans. Mm-hmm. And the year I was born, 1965, when this building, RCA Victor, was built, the great Chet Atkins, speaking of. But anyway, that was Beatlemania era. Yeah. So we're both too young to remember Beatlemania, but we came into it once we got here, right? Classic music. But anyway, I thought, I was looking at that 50,000 outside the stadium on that hill, and I thought, I've never seen this. I have never.
The Beatles saw it.
Yes, and he is a huge Swiftie, Paul is.
That's awesome.
He is.
That is awesome. Well, she's a badass.
She is, and she's got royals and all the celebrities. And I mean, when you have the industry saying all that about you, when you have industry coming to your shows multiple times, can't get enough, I mean, it is what it is. But
so good. Okay.
My hero.
And now my minute and a half, I'm going to piggyback off of Tay-Tay and the almost cult following she has built. Like, it is insane. But to see the Swifties banding together, not just for peace, love, and music.
Yeah.
But also, they are coordinating. We've got elections coming up here in America, and we're not going to go into politics on here, okay? Y'all can keep that shit separate. Religion and politics, you talk about it at your house. We ain't doing it here.
That's right.
But they just getting out and voting. They are getting together and making QR codes and sharing it with other Swifties at these concerts all around
Just
to
get
help
people
people get
registered.
registered
Yes.
just so that they have the ability to then go vote.
That's right.
And I just think that is awesome.
It's our civic duty
It is. And to see
and a privilege.
it is a privilege. It is a privilege to see a younger generation coming together over a musician and
Yeah.
then using that community to, be an active part of society.
And her philanthropy. Every single
Mhm.
town, food banks that are stocked for a year, feeding, and all the millions of dollars she, like when we had the big tornado relief here,
Mm-hmm.
$1 million. She's always putting out $1 million here and $1 million
Yeah.
there to help others. She uses her philanthropy, her success to do good in the world.
Yes. Hands up. But all in all, Tay-Tay's a badass. We love her. Swifties,
Nene
badasses.
loves her Tay-Tay.
Yes. All right, now it's time. I'm going to go ahead and set our little timer so we stay on topic. Because with our ADHD, which is going to blend into this, right? It can get hard sometimes.
Mental health.
Mental health. The stress of life everybody deals with.
Everybody.
The society, your jobs, maybe family, whatever it is. Maybe you're like us and you got ADHD and that adds to it and you just struggle some days, right? That's okay. It's okay.
It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. And if you get to a point where you need to go talk to someone, do it.
Go.
There are resources. Use them.
So much help available, and at least in today's world, we don't have to be ashamed. You
no,
know?
we don't.
My
Which is-
parents' generation, nothing wrong with me. Nothing.
Which is why we're doing this segment,
Yeah,
right?
I'm not crazy.
It's some hard shit. It's some real shit, but
It
it's
doesn't
real
mean
shit.
you're crazy. It
It's
doesn't
real
mean
shit,
you're
yeah.
crazy.
And everybody deals with it. We all have our cross to bear. Or
You're
whatever,
actually
you know.
crazy if you don't deal with it. I used to tell
Agreed.
people,
It will make you crazy.
if you don't deal with your stuff by the time you're 40, it's going to deal with you.
That's
It's going to come out physically in all kinds of ways. It's going to affect you. If you don't deal with stress, it affects your nervous system,
Mhm.
And you can't separate physical from mental.
No. There's so, it's crazy what stress can do on the brain, which then does on the body. It's
And mental
insane.
is always physical first.
mm-hmm.
It's chemicals.
It is.
It's
It is.
brain chemicals.
Which is why there's
Serotonin.
no shame in seeking help
It's-
if you need it.
it's
because
not-
it is.
yeah.
There's a lot of chemical, and sometimes if you have a doctor that diagnoses you and says, hey, look, we can give you a medicine that will help balance you out, there's no shame in that. There's no shame.
If someone gets diagnosed with diabetes and they have to regulate
Take their insulin.
do they feel guilty? Do they feel shame? No. I was diagnosed. I need medication to regulate. Insulin, thank goodness. Mental health's the same way.
We've been
Aren't
cut
you
off.
glad we put it on a timer? We'd be
We
here
have
for
to.
days.
We'd be here for days.
We'd be here. We can talk each other under the table and love every minute of it and interrupt each other and talk over each other. It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful.
Somebody finally gets me.
It is a beautiful.
Somebody finally doesn't get offended by me.
Okay, I think it's time.
Am I too much for you?
Never.
Should I dim my light?
Please
Hell
do
no.
not.
I did that the first 50 years.
You shine that, baby.
All
right, cut. So, unfortunately, speaking of time is up for today. But, that means that we'll just have more in the future to share with all of our lovely people out there.
Something to look forward to.
And I think next time, they got to know us a little bit this time. I think next time we need to bring a special guest in. Maybe even some live music for them.
You're going to get to know real Nashville behind the scenes like you have never seen.
With the hit makers, baby.
Absolutely.
So, that is a wrap. Until next time on
The Shootin' the Shit Show.